Welcome back. I'm here today with Jack Carlisle. Jack is a serial entrepreneur and has been starting businesses for the last 22 years. Jack, welcome to today's show.
Thanks for having me.
You know, Jack, when I look at what you're doing, being a serial entrepreneur seems like it's just ingrained in your blood. So let's walk through the history. Give me some history of how you got to where you are today and some of the companies that you worked with and started. And
it's kind of interesting. Where I ended up today is not where I had planned on 22 years ago. When I was a child, I always wanted to be a pilot. I wanted to be involved in aviation somehow. Got a job, worked really hard, waxing and washing airplanes for flight time. Kind of worked my way up. Along the way, we started opened up a big old tire store, which was really fun. I had to open it up with my three brothers. Same time I continued my flying, I ended up opening up a flight school as well.
At the same time you're running the tire store?
And then obviously that got to be a little too much, so we just went ahead and we had an offer on the tire store, so we ended up selling that, and I went to full-time with the flight school. Kind of just working my way up in aviation. Same time I was had a custom tractor business, sold real estate, did insurance, set tile, started a little bit of a construction company as well.
So Jack, when you got involved with businesses, was it following a passion, or was it trying to fill a need of?
At first it was following a passion.
Okay.
It really was. I was really passionate about flying at the time, and I always just thought that's where I would be the happiest.
Yeah.
It's kind of interesting. I ended up working for somebody as a corporate pilot, and decided I wanted to get back into owning my own business. And at that time, I completely changed gears and started looking into the food industry, in particular a restaurant. Mm-hmm. I always loved to cook. My mother was a scratch cooker, from hardcore scratch cooker. Learned a lot from her, and it kind of evolved into at the point where we decided we wanted to open a restaurant, and we actually started catering to start out with.
Now, what year was this?
So this was 2008.
Okay.
So the dreaded 2008.
Oh, you had great timing on this, 2008. So we were just really the banking crisis, and everything was. No one knew where things were going back then.
The interesting story about that is we were signing the lease for our building, and we were signing the documents for our loan the day that Wachovia Bank decided they were done.
Wow.
And unfortunately at that time, everything that we had worked on wouldn't go through because no banks were looking at that time. Mm-hmm. So we had to get creative, and that's when we started catering. We had to gathered up my kids and my wife, and I says, hey, we don't have any work, so what do you guys feel about spending the summer catering? Mm-hmm. So I drugged them around to county fairs for all summer long, and we cooked pizzas as a family. So I had my 12-year-old running the cash register, my wife was doing dough, along with my 14-year-old daughter, and my 13-year-old son was topping the pizzas, and I was cooking them. So yeah.
Yeah, I think you represent the typical America, where in this country there's a certain segment of capitalism that allows us the freedom to kind of start businesses and follow our passions and our dreams. And in this case, you brought your family along with it. Yeah,
and it was a great experience. Our kids kind of hated it at the time, but they look back on it with pretty good fondness. So mm-hmm. It was good. Mm-hmm. It was a good summer. Mm-hmm.
So now today you're you moved from the catering business into starting a pizza place, or what?
Yeah. So the catering business that we were running was a seasonal thing.
Okay.
And so then I started. Okay, I better get myself a real job. So I actually had I don't know how many resumes I had. I kind of figured it was close to 40 to 50 resumes out, anywhere from stocking shelves at Lowe's to flying the Goodyear blimp. Mm-hmm. And nothing was coming through. We couldn't get it.
Say, Jack, I'm going to hold that thought, but we need to take a quick break, and we'll be right back after these messages. I'm visiting today with Jack Carlisle. Jack has been starting businesses for the past 22 years, and we're talking about the economy where we're at today, and also after the break, we'll get into what Jack ended up doing. We'll be right back after these messages.
I love fishing, with my family.
I think it would be easier to use a net.
It was so much fun.
The times when we are together, it makes it all the more worth it.
Having Dad teach them how to cast a fly rod, and
as long as we're doing stuff together, we're having fun.
Some people see a father and a son fishing together, while others see a succession plan. Welcome back. I'm here today with Jack Carlisle. He's a serial entrepreneur who's been starting businesses for the past 22 years. And Jack, before the break, we're talking about how you transitioned from your catering business into your next venture. And what exactly was that venture?
So we ended up, we found that it was easier to find an investor than it was a job at that point. So we decided to go ahead and open up a restaurant.
Oh.
Thought we were ready for that.
Okay.
So
now, when you're getting ready to open up a restaurant, walk through the process, because for our listeners, a lot of them may be thinking, I hate my job where I am now. I want to do something else with my life. And with that learning curve, what steps did you take to get your business up and running?
So the first thing we did is we obviously tried to come up with a concept. I was looking for, as a pilot, I ate out three meals a day. I knew what I was looking for when I went to a restaurant, and I wasn't finding it. And so I was like, I want something that's fresh, I want something that's local, and I want something, and at the time we were making pizzas in wood-fired ovens. Okay. And so I thought, I took that concept, and basically we build it around those premises, something that's fresh, something people can come in and know exactly what they're eating.
Now, when you did that, how did you choose your location?
So the location basically chose ourselves.
Okay.
The reason I say that is we were out of money at this time. We didn't really have a whole lot of choices. We knew we were going to have to open it up on a shoestring budget, and I had found a restaurant that was currently struggling, and they needed to get out of it, and therefore I was able to pick it up for extremely reasonable cost. It was definitely discounted. So.
Okay. And then, so you had your location. Did you have to remodel for equipment or anything, or you just?
We did. We had to get really creative with that as well. I didn't have a ton of money to start with, and wood-fired oven runs about $26,000 just for the oven. So it was me, my wife, my 2 kids, and my nephew. We went and did all the work ourselves.
Okay.
We spent about 1 month to go ahead and get that wrapped up and got it opened up.
I think you represent, like I said, the mainstream of America, as people are out there wanting to get into business for themselves, and they find out that it's not easy, is it?
It's not. It's not for the faint of heart, for sure.
And how did your story end? You were on a shoestring, but you're completely broke. You found someone to give you some money.
Yep.
What happened?
So we got it opened up, and to our surprise, we thought we were going to have a game buster, great business, and it didn't happen that way. It was slow. It was hard. We fought for every customer that I had, and we fought hard to keep everyone that came in. We slowly built it. We started out with 30 seats. We currently now have 95 seats, and weekends we have a 2-hour wait now. So the cash flow's coming in now. And we actually started out, the other thing we had to do, we had to start it out as a family. It was me, my wife, my 2 kids, and my nephew.
Back up. You have a 2-hour wait?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, on Friday nights. So yeah.
That's saying something for
we're happy about that.
Yeah.
We've got with the products that we were using, we knew that system would work with the fresh food and knowing exactly what's being served. We make everything from scratch, so you know, there's
A key
and it's
ingredient,
catching on.
and also knowing what your customers want.
Exactly.
So, Jack, we need to take a quick break, and I want to, after we get back, I want to come back and talk about what was the transition of going from feast or famine to the 2-hour wait. Okay, we'll be right back after these messages.
With current laws, we have left our children an enormous financial burden. Even though they may be too young to understand it. At GrowCo, we care about you and the ones you love, and the quality of your and their lives. Call us today to see how we can help. 877-CPA-2006.
Helping you along the way.
Welcome back. I'm here today with Jack Carlisle. Jack and I have been talking about the businesses that he's been starting over the past 22 years. Recently, he started a pizza restaurant in which he went from feast or famine to a 2-hour wait. And so, Jack, let's get in there. What exactly happened where you went from a feast or famine in the business to, you know, finding your customers, or did they find you?
That's an interesting, you know, the customers actually had to find us.
Okay.
And it's not hard, it's really actually kind of hard to find our restaurant. Like I said, I didn't have any money for advertising. We used Facebook a lot, and it was all word of mouth. It basically was word of mouth. I remember doing one day, we sold $65 in the whole entire day. And at that point, we were like, okay, what are we doing wrong here? And it wasn't really anything that we were doing wrong. It's just, it takes a long time to build that clientele.
And how long did that take?
It took me, we're at 4 years now. So it, you know, and
But
I
what
would
was
say
the
a good
crossover
tipping point was 3 years.
About 3 years to start to cross over.
Yep.
Okay. And you didn't really have to change anything. It just, the word caught on and you had a regular
No, we
customer.
just kept building. We ended up having a 40% increase every year, and we just kept building on that.
And how many how many employees are you up to?
So we're running about 30 employees right now,
Okay.
and that's quite a bit from the original 6.
Mm-hmm.
So
And Jack, what's the name of the restaurant?
it's called Jack's.
Jack's.
Yep.
Okay, very creative. Now, you started off this business model with your family involved. Obviously, as you grew, it was prohibitive to just stay with that. But what time did you put your first employees in?
So it was actually almost 9 months into it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And that was kind of an interesting experience to bring in our first non-family employee. It was kind of monumental for us.
So, Jack, someone comes to you today and says, Jack, you're an entrepreneur, been doing this for a long time. I like your business model, the pizza restaurant. Give me some advice. So what should I be focused on?
What should I be focused on? You know, probably, man, that's a tough question.
Okay.
Because there's a
Well,
lot of things, but for us, it was actually sure determination.
Okay.
Quite frankly, we didn't have any other choice. We either had to make it work or completely, you know, it would have been completely devastating at that point if we couldn't have made it work.
Are there mistakes that you made along the way?
Oh, for sure.
And what are some of those? What's your number one area that you would, if you had to do it over again, this is what I would have done differently?
You know, that's another tough question, because the bad mistakes that I made actually turned us into what we are now.
Okay.
And
Well,
so
and that's why I bring that up, because it's like no one is perfect as they start businesses, and everyone makes mistakes, but then they learn. They say, yeah, this, you know, I may have done this too quick. I may have, you know, I had to modify my menu. Or is there any of that you adjusted as you went through?
You know, it was a total evolution from very beginning. We actually started out as more of a cafe style where people come in and order at a counter. We're now currently a full service restaurant.
Okay, so you did evolve from a
there was a lot of evolution going on, and we had to make the evolution happen to be able to survive. We actually would hit a point where it didn't seem like we were growing.
Yeah.
And at that point, we had to do something different and so.
How did you reach out and get the word of mouth out?
Quite honestly, I worked Facebook really hard.
Okay.
It kind of sounds weird.
It's a success story off social media.
Because it was free. I could spend an hour a day, and I did a lot of unique things people weren't doing on social media. And the other thing was we had a good product, and people were excited about it.
Now I got to ask you. This is a tough question, but I got to ask it. 2008 came, and tough economy. There was a change in this society in terms of entitlements, number of entitlements. Why not just pack it up and say, you know what, I'll take the welfare check or the free benefits?
That's kind of dear to my heart because we had to make that decision. We were getting close to actually have to completely do foreclosure before I opened the restaurant, and I had to make the choice of, do I go back on what I promised I was going to do? And I could have collected. I could have taken out foreclosure. I could have collected a welfare check, and we were probably hours away from doing that. And then we made a decision: do we want that mentality do we want to have that mentality, and do we want to push that mentality onto our children? And we decided not to, so we rolled up our sleeves and went to work.
I'll tell you, as I listen to this story, there are millions and millions of America riding your shoes. It's a tough world out there. Unemployment benefits or just the unemployment rate's high. A lot of people looking for work, but you work through this. You work through it, and you stuck with it through sheer determination.
Yeah.
So, if when you look out into the future and you see the road that you walked, what do you see for the next 20 years or so?
I'm really excited about the next 20 years. We've had the opportunities. Like I said, I wasn't planning on being in the food industry.
Yeah.
I got into it, and I've absolutely loved it. When I got doing the restaurant, I thought the restaurants were going to be my future.
Yeah.
But other opportunities have presented themselves to me, and I'm finding out that I'm going to take those other opportunities and see where those take me as well. And so it's been an interesting ride.
So you've been able to build on your reputation and legacy.
Yeah, and without those experiences that I had at the restaurant, I couldn't be at the place that I am today. So.
Well, I think a lot of it too is every one of us are going to tell a story in the end. But when I listened to your story, it was focused on sheer determination to pull yourself through. Hey, Jack, we're running short on time. If someone wanted to find Jack's today, how would they go about that?
Jack'sOven.com, or look us up on Facebook at Jack's Oven.
Jack's Oven. Hey, Jack Carlisle today, thanks for being with me here on America Dreams.
Thanks, Anthony.
All right, we'll be right back after these messages.